What does reality changing really mean? Well, it should be a reminder that none of us are in control and something beyond us is. Knowing the Bible is not only involved in reality changes, but is the most affected physical item by a long way, provides more than enough evidence this is a spiritual battle. Knowing that and understanding biblical prophecy, it is clear that this is the last days. So, what does not being in control, a spiritual battle between good and evil, and an hourglass almost out of sand mean to you? I will tell you what it means to Brant and I. It means finding out exactly what Jesus wants from us and doing that, because there's not much time left on earth to please him, to show him we heard what he said, what he asked of us, and that we not only have the ability, but also the desire in our heart to do that. When you want to know what the person in control wants from you, it is rather wise to look to what they speak of most. The thing Jesus most spoke of is love and kindness, which was also confirmed in his own actions by countless demonstrations. He not only cared, but he genuinely cared. He has showed us imperfect examples of how not to just talk about the fruits of the Spirit, but actually exercise them. Jesus is returning soon. That is an unavoidable fact, which means we all have to stand before him very soon as a community. If at that time Jesus asks for people here to step forward, if they have taken every opportunity to be kind towards others, it's going to be a very awkward moment for most here. There would not be much movement because in that specific moment, with him right there, you would have no choice but to be honest with him and yourself. And given how easy love and kindness actually is, you will understand in a brutal way just how much some of you have failed yourselves in so many situations. To me, love and kindness is a natural thing, something that good people reach for because their hearts are motivated that way. They don't need to be told to do that. But when also on top of that you serve a God that has made it very clear that love and kindness is his ways and what he expects of you also, it just adds another very solid level to it. So adding a level will never look like a subtraction. A person here who knows that adding something equals more is obviously going to expect that there would be more love in this community than anywhere else in the world. Those certain people expecting that from here are not wrong to expect that. And if it's not what they find here, it should not be difficult to understand their shock and persistent discussions about it. Jesus is never going to say to those people, "You idiot. How could you expect that my chosen people at the very end would represent me and advertise heaven with a Christ-like love that permeates every space that they are found?" No, Jesus is not going to say that to us. So if you are a part of this community not delivering that, what is Jesus going to say to you? We know that you are the very ones who know without question you are not in control. Therefore, we'll answer to who is. No avoiding it. Reality is changing. You are not able to stop this spiritual war that you are caught in the middle of. We know you are the very ones that know who is in control of all things, Jesus Christ. And he is who asked of you to love so much that you are to love even your enemies. Now, if it was Satan that had said that, I would understand the apprehension of some here to deliver that. But it wasn't. It was Jesus. We know you are the very ones who know time is running out, which means time is running out for you to show Jesus your best self. For him to have situations recorded of you that he can point to show others as a great example. And maybe he wants to have some moments with you where he comes to you and puts his arm around you and says, "Well done, you did good there." Do you really think you are going to get that moment from him if you hurt another person in any way? You'd be kidding yourself if you did. I mean, for myself and Brant, we live with that thought in our mind every second of every day and just cannot believe how people behave as if that is not a real consideration. It is real. For Jesus to be real, that is real. One who is living this reality-changing experience and has wisdom would expect people here to put in extra, in fact, excessive effort into showing Jesus demonstrations of your very best heart qualities in action. But what we look at here is a fast-growing army full of thugs that are taking on the ways of the opposing side. It is painful and bewildering to us just what some of you think Jesus expects from you right now, and that you all validate each other on it. Reading comments on videos is often an agonizing part of this journey for Brant and myself. So often we just can't believe what we are reading. What just happened to Lydia yesterday is a perfect example of behavior that is rotten to its core, not of God at all. Someone turning around and saying to her, she has demons and is of Satan. It's disgusting to say that to anybody, let alone a young sister so convicted on Bible changes. And then he adds another message for her to pass on to Jack Frost for him to go to hell as well. How charming. And the saying God bless after these specific words said to antagonize is very disturbing. These are the kinds of things we read that just rock us and make us think, where are we and who are these people? What is really going on and how bad is this going to get? One thing we know is that when God separates people out, as he has done with all of us, it is usually to put a magnifying glass on them to be examples both good and bad to others. Just how do you want to be remembered by all of God's people? We should always think of the other person in conversations, and I'm no psychology expert, but it does not take much to figure out that if you tell someone they are of Satan when they love God, they are going to think you have rocks in your head and switch off. Your words will never reach them, so you are of no help to them at all. I am very sensitive to this condemning to hell business because of what happened to me. Jane switching personalities overnight in the most bizarre personality switch I have ever witnessed in my life. From close friend one day to a long email detailing how I was already doomed, like my judgment day had come, and she was the honoured one who got to pass down the verdict to me. It's perplexing to me that anyone who has spent any time reading the Bible would believe they have that job. And in knowing that very fact, it's why we get concerned. It triggers many questions in Brant and myself. Like, what is going on? For her to switch like that so fast and so extreme without any conversation. That is not the Jane we knew for 9 months. So it's concerning. We saw our family members change after the Mandela effect in a very specific way. So we are not going to not notice that same oddness when it happens in others. We should all be showing our best selves, but what Jane did was like exploding the worst of herself all over me and never bothering to clean it up. Now Captain Kirk has done the same thing to Twinkles and Jack Frost. How can any Christian write a comment like this and think God would approve of it? It's so nasty that it is pure evil. What is going on in the mind of a person who does this? If I was saying anything to Captain Kirk right now, I would be saying, are you going to take these words to Jesus and say, look what I did for you, expecting him to smile? Or do you not even think that far ahead? Something is making itself known here, even in sweet people like Jane, to want people here to hurt one another. The enemy knows they are far more effective just by us being less effective, and we are less effective if we are not loving each other and are divided in our efforts. When will that basic well-known tactic of the enemy compute in the minds of people here? If that is what the tactics of the enemy is, we should want to do the opposite. There are good people in this community trying very hard to follow Christ-like love in all situations that are so worn down by the rest of you not being that way, they are getting to the point of giving up. I know one sister who has removed herself from this community because she just cannot take the behavior here anymore of the constant judgment and absence of love. You make her lose faith in God's plan to deliver us through this experience to a spiritual family worth being delivered to. That is the opposite of what people here should be doing. If another Christian cannot look at you and think, that's heaven and who I want to spend eternity with, well, you are a long way from where you need to be. This community right now is more like a living nightmare than any kind of pre-heaven experience. I'm sure you don't know what it is like for Brant and myself who care about God's end-time army like that's all that matters. And for us to look at you all and see this kind of thing going on here. Think Moses smashing 2 sacred tablets. He was that disgusted with what he saw in front of him in another group of people. We don't have tablets to smash to make an attention-grabbing, unforgettable point like Moses did, but we sure understand how Moses felt. Why can't you be the group of Israelites that get yourselves into order because the promised land is not far off? Those Israelites are known for the choices they made, and so will you. How do you want to be known by everybody looking back and learning of this event that took place under their nose but was out of their sight? Since the days of Moses, Jesus has been on earth and taught us his ways firsthand. There is just no excuse not to be kind and loving in all situations. And if you haven't been, there is no excuse not to apologize. I'm going to be honest, Brant and I are very despondent right now. We of course want to see people wake up to what is happening, but if what is happening is not enough to peel off every hard layer of every heart here who sees, then it hardly feels worth it. It hurts because if reality changing is not enough to do that, what else do we need to suffer through to make that happen? Reality changing is enough for Brant and I. We are just 2 of those people thinking love and kindness should be flowing out of everyone here and permeating all spaces. Because we know you represent Jesus and people are watching on and evaluating everything as people do. If you preach Jesus but cannot be kind, you will be seen as a hypocrite by those who know what Christianity is based on. And hypocrites, they just will never be listened to, even if they do have the truth.